To add to the Watchmen discourse is unnecessary, although to share one of my favourite elements of the book, I love how much of a deliberated, conscious, all-encompassing opus it is. This is part of what I admire, among countless things I admire, about Moore's V for Vendetta also, though it was Watchmen I read first, and so the allure surrounding its choices, purposes, and specific considerations was a seismic encounter. Watchmen might not seem as engulfing everything in its path so much now, because not only was it deconstructing the superhero archetype as readers knew them, but also attempting to distill the essence of all global political existential tension within a single text, as though an early 20th century novel by Hess, Huxley, H.G. Wells, or a later figure such as Ballard. Moorcock's Multiple Worlds is worth considering here also. Now, Watchmen can seem too much like a product of the 1980s, although at least a noteworthy portion of its impact is still felt now, otherwise it would not have the continuing appeal it holds, as newer generations of fans are riveted by the experience of reading that monumental behemoth. In regard to its modernist/postmodernist take of the masked vigilante genre, many find it still relevant, exciting, and worthwhile. Those characters, this archetype, arguably more popular than ever. However, in regard to acting as a profound paradigm shift of consciousness raising, the work which entailed history up to 1986 and beckoned the future, well, it is 2023 now, but might it have been too much to ask of any text that it would encapsulate the events of human creation up to that point of its publication, and then also be so timelessly and immovably relevant to 2023, for example, and beyond? If so, would this not be an infinite jest which makes life boring and pointless? I haven't read Wallace's novel. A friend is midway through, last I checked. Maybe more answers are in there. Seems fascinating. As a motion comic, this, which we're being presented with here, which is giving me an excuse to discuss Watchmen on the film program, as the motion comic, I'm baffled they couldn't hire a voice actress. Still, I know audiobooks usually just get one person, but we have a visual accompaniment. It feels off. Just hire an actress for the female roles. Still, I'm actually disappointed they cull some speech bubbles/dialogue from the end result. Though I believe every panel is retained, I could be wrong. Was anyone going to complain it was too long given the immense runtime as is? Translate it word for word. Come on. We'll discuss the Zack Snyder film later. So, Octopus. Well, listen, the whole idea, the outer limits thing, episode Architects of Fear, fine, but in such a grounded reality and alternate history matching supposedly similar logic to our own and corresponding to the odd unknowable schema of our own human affairs in our experienced existence, how in history does even the designated smartest human of all time, other than the god Dr. Manhattan at least, and even then, tachyons, whatever, how do they concoct such a successful airtight scheme? As Doc Manhattan rather than the octopus, it works. I assume Moore did not utilize this plot device because it was too basic or some such. I will accept this, if not just because the result and outcome is so unusual it begs to be enjoyed. I do anyhow. That octopus and Dave Gibbons' art, I wouldn't change that for anything, so I'm glad that it was this. Thing is, it throws off the idea of Watchmen as a feasible alternate history, and up to that point in the storyline, it at least tricks you that it could be, I think. And more like a comic script which had the end results and archetypes in mind, but was a bit confused as to how they were to get from A to B to C to etc. And so this otherwise wholly viable alternative history is punctured by not only the first successful conspiracy theory in history, well actually a few figures are implied to have been assassinated, but maybe that isn't too dissimilar to our own. In any case, a conspiracy of a scale larger than that of a contract killing, an assassination effort. And the octopus invasion at that, right? I mean, yeah, if it happened here in our world, we'd accept it, maybe, but wait. They made it with a movie studio's resources. Not genetic? Maybe it was like his links? I don't know. Let's just love the artwork. It's hard not to. That octopus. He includes a whole subplot about a film production and an island to justify how Ozymandias pulls it all off. And then to thematically congeal with the rest of the gritty, earthy storyline, he pulls for a pirate allegory to demonstrate, now, no, seriously, really, accept the Ozymandias conspiracy plot. Look how much I'm trying to emphasize it thematically, please. He forces a tessellation with the rest of the plot, this kind of grounded, gritty reality, because we just accept it because it's like, well, like he's trying to, this whole pirate Black Fleet is about the Ozymandias thing, so I guess it is important. So he forces us to accept it when we intuitively would not otherwise, I suspect. The thing is, so much ambition, consideration, thought, effort, strife, and audacity is what makes a text great. Not airtight perfection. But in many or most respects, Watchmen is pretty close to airtight perfection, at least, well, otherwise. V for Vendetta certainly is. And From Hell might be that also. Alan Moore, the one comic book author whom quite handily can rank with some of the more impressive novelists in the English language, certainly superior to most screenwriters and non-Shakespeare playwrights, well, or Beckett, I guess. A few other playwrights, probably, too. You know, what's his name? Not Strindberg. Well, Strindberg too, I suppose, but, Henrik Ibsen. That's what I was thinking of. The Master Builder had a tremendous script. I saw the Jonathan Demme film. Anyway, yes, adding to the Watchmen discourse was unnecessary indeed. It really was. Though join us later for a discussion of the 2009 Zack Snyder film adaptation, and where I think it went right and wrong. Until then, thanks again. Oh, and scared about those alleged Rorschach admirers? You know, the way Rorschach is aestheticized, he was meant to be sympathetic to some degree. Oh, maybe blame Gibbons. I don't know. Ask Moore his opinion on that. Anyway, forget the Rorschach people. I'm more scared of the people who argue that Ozymandias had a point. Ozymandias was the most wicked human in history. It was just pointless to reverse what he did or to punish him afterward. It would have been worth preventing what he did, because John Doc Manhattan just decided that he appreciated life, you know, and he could just extinguish all nuclear material then anyway. Stop fantasizing about being Ozymandias. It is too creepy. You just want to get away with murder for a righteous cause and feel good about it, tee-hee-hee, or fulfilling a sadistic pathological urge with a vile cosmopolitan fetish. Sickening, quite truly, yes. Yeah, adding to the Watchmen discourse is really unnecessary. Maybe we ought to stop sometime soon. Alan Moore would probably prefer us to do so, because he doesn't care for how he revitalized, resuscitated superhero fiction, and I think he particularly has problems with his own specific influence on the medium, how it became very dark and gritty and women in refrigerators-y, as they say. There's something to be said about that, to be honest. And in order to cull the discourse sooner rather than later, we'll stop recording now.